4 weeks ago, Apple held their yearly hardware event where they announced the iPhone 15 line of products. Now, with every year, there are a new set of features typically focusing on camera, screen, battery, and performance improvements. But this year, one of the things Apple went on about particularly piqued my interest, and that was the introduction of the A17 Pro chip that is available in the iPhone 15 Pro models. The A15 Pro is Apple's attempt at giving their mobile products enough power to bring mobile gaming to the next step and bring people closer to being able to experience console-class games on their primary devices. Apple claiming that this is the biggest redesign in the history of Apple GPUs on their website. When I heard that, I knew I had to pick up one of these bad boys and test it out myself. Here's the problem though, none of these console-class games like Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil Village, or Assassin's Creed Mirage are set to come out for another few weeks. But this got me thinking, is there only a benefit when playing those types of games, or do current mobile games perform any better when running on the newest iPhone? And are there any other benefits when gaming that would be worth upgrading to the latest iPhone, especially if you have an iPhone 14 Pro? So here's what I did to test just that. First off, I wanted to see how much of a difference in power there was between the 14 Pro and the 15 Pro. So I downloaded Geekbench to test that out. Then I subscribed to Apple Arcade and downloaded a few games like The Last Campfire, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Genshin Impact, Club Stradale, and more. No, not all of these games are from Apple Arcade, but I think that you are going to find what I took note of interesting. Or not, I don't know, maybe you're able to predict everything that I'm going to say. But before I get into that, I quickly just wanted to give a shout out to our partners over at Speck. They sent over a few of their newest cases for the iPhone 15, as well as some of their new ClickLock accessories. The cases they sent me are the Presidio 2 Grip MagSafe case in blue purple ink and Presidio 2 Pro MagSafe case in charcoal gray cool bronze. I have used Speck cases on and off for years, and I've always ended up going back. They are comfortable in your hands, offer great fall protection, and I've never had a fear of my phone breaking when an accident occurs. I even remember as far back as when the iPhone 5 was released, I had a classmate who had a Speck case on their phone, and it caught my eye immediately. I liked the light blue color and the simple design overall. If I can find a picture, I'll put it up. I personally go towards simpler cases overall, but that's enough about the cases. I'm really loving these ClickLock accessories, like the ClickLock Wallet that holds up to 3 cards, the ClickLock car vent mount, and my favorite, the ClickLock standby grip. ClickLock is basically Speck's way of making sure your accessories don't come off as easily by adding an extra magnet in their cases. Once the accessory and the case come together, out pops another magnet from the accessory that clicks, hence the name ClickLock, in place and reinforces your wallet grip or car mount so you don't have to worry about anything flying off your phone. Trust me, I literally had my iPhone 14 fall off my normal MagSafe mount in my car and it slid right underneath my brakes. That is very dangerous, so this definitely comes in handy. And also to mention, if you just enjoy the ClickLock accessories, they still work and are compatible with normal MagSafe cases and devices, so you definitely want to check those out if these things seem to pique your interest. I'll link everything down in the description, but full disclosure, Speck isn't paying me anything to talk about these products. The only benefit I get is if you use the link in the description to buy something, we get a little bit of a kickback to support the channel. The channel still isn't monetized yet, so if you want to support us in any way you can, be sure to use those links in the description. Anyway, let's get back into it. So the first thing I had to test out was Geekbench. The iPhone 14 Pro did score lower than the iPhone 15 Pro as expected. The single core score was only slightly higher, but the multi-core score was over 2,000 points higher, which is a great indicator to the strength of the processor and GPU when under stress. Then I ran the GPU test, which had the iPhone 15 Pro score over 4,000 points higher than the previous phone. Now, on paper, that's awesome. iPhones have always had an amazing chipset, and for the most part have had more power than most people know what to do with. So this must mean gaming has to be better on the newest iPhone since it's a much better and efficient chip, right? Well, here's where my gaming tests come in. So I started off by playing Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. I will say that iPhone 15 downloaded all the data needed before playing faster, which is awesome. I usually stay away from games that have such large patches and download sequences prior to playing a game just because the length of time. I don't want to sit around all this time to play a game that I'll probably play for like 10 minutes before closing out of. So yeah, that was great, but going into the settings, there were no options for graphics, meaning I can't up the resolution or up the frame rate in any way, shape, or form. But being the person that I am, I figured, well, maybe the game just runs differently depending on the model of iPhone that's playing it. Nope. Not true. These games play exactly the same, from the battle sequences to the times of traversal. Nothing was different. Hey, what's up, you guys? Real quick, I just wanted to add something to this. So I had to re-download Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis just for some footage, and when I did it, it ended up giving me an option for different graphics settings. Now, this wasn't there initially. I've been working on this video for like 2 weeks, but now you get the option all the way from like low to ultra, but it does not give you any details whatsoever on what it affects, whether it's frame rate, graphic quality only, etc. But just wanted to share that before we continue the rest of the video. The video still makes sense overall. Now, Chris, maybe you just picked the wrong type of game to test. Well, viewer, then let's move on to Club Stradale. This game lets you pick and choose your preferences when you game. Oh, but you only get 3 options, and those are energy saving, performance, and quality modes. Now, this is much better than not having those options, but now this is too vague to know anything other than the option you pushed. On both phones, they look and run exactly the same to the naked eye. There's no simple way to count frames on an iPhone, but they both perform very well and rarely drop frames in any mode you choose. So this leads me to believe that they have some sort of frame rate cap for all models depending on what you prioritize, leaving this game as another that cannot take advantage of the iPhone 15 Pro's superior chipset. Okay, so let's look at option 3, shall we? Genshin Impact. This should be our best bet. The menu offers many different presets from lowest to highest, and then you can pick your target frame rate and tweak other settings like shadow quality and whatnot. The first thing I did was go to the highest settings and then set it for 120 frames per second, and that did not perform well. The frame rate was stuttering, and the game even warns you that you are asking for too much, which is fine. You shouldn't expect that type of performance from a mobile phone. So then I tested out a few other combinations of settings and landed on medium settings preset with 120 frames per second. Now, I have no way of telling you if it's actually hitting 120 frames a second, but it was much higher than 60 frames for sure, and everything felt relatively smooth. Now, going back to the iPhone 14 Pro, it runs practically exactly the same. I did see significant frame drops about twice, but not nearly enough that would say that the iPhone 15 Pro is that much better when gaming. And this is what's tough about these things. You gotta take into account a few factors. One, some games are made to run one specific way across the board, so they run and function well on many devices. Two, some games still aren't optimized to take advantage of that new A17 Pro chipset, and to be honest, there's no way of knowing or telling if they plan to do so unless you follow them on social media and keep tabs. And 3, most people don't upgrade every year. These tests were performed on the latest and the last version of the iPhone that came out. A lot of people don't upgrade for years until they need to. So if that's the case, then you might see a big difference in game performance. But guys, this isn't where the story ends. There were a couple things I didn't talk about yet that can matter for some people, and that's when it comes to the iPhone 15 Pro's USB-C port. Yes, there's no more Lightning going forward, but this means you can use the USB-C port for different accessories, including an external monitor or a handheld gaming controller. I tried external monitor support while playing the Last Campfire. Now, I didn't choose this because I can mess with the graphics settings. I mainly chose this due to the fact that it was created and developed by Hello Games, the studio that made No Man's Sky. I figured this game would be as close to console quality, and I will say the experience was pretty good. I plugged the iPhone 15 Pro into a monitor, synced a PS5 controller, and just kicked back for a bit, and truly, if I handed this to someone random and told them they were playing off a PlayStation 5, I think I could get them to believe it. That being said, in the 25 minutes or so that I had the phone plugged into the monitor, it dropped over 15%, so you would probably have to use a dongle to charge your iPhone while playing, or have a monitor that delivers power while displaying an image at the same time through Thunderbolt. In addition, I used my Razer Kishi V2 that was made for Android phones and used it on my iPhone 15 Pro, and it worked no problems. I think there was a slight issue in the settings where it couldn't detect that it was a Razer Kishi, but it still functioned. I think that would just be fixed in a future update for the app. So guys, what does this all mean? Well, as cool as it will be when these console-class games come over to iPhone, and with the addition of ray tracing to the games while mobile, there isn't much difference between this and the past gen of iPhone when you play any other standard game on the App Store. Of course, it's super cool to be able to use a monitor with your phone now, but are the newer games and monitor compatibility enough to make you want to upgrade from your current phone? I mean, if you don't care about the AAA games, I would suggest saving some money and buying a pre-owned or refurbished iPhone 14 Pro. For gaming, every test worked out the same, and we can't rely on each developer to update their app or games to work better with the A17 Pro chip. So why put all your eggs in one basket? I will, however, say I'm not a professional in this industry, and all the results from my testing were just what I experienced. I didn't use any fancy machines or hack an iPhone to check the frame rate while playing, but I figured most people would care if you can tell there are improvements just by looking. Of course, if anybody has had any different experiences, please definitely share them in the comments below. I'd be very curious to see if anyone else has anything different to say. But if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up. It helps me know that you guys are enjoying this type of content. And of course, be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. We are trying to get the channel monetized, so all types of support help. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later in the next video. Bye.